elegance and grace. Typically 3 words that you wouldn't associate with me. However, you would definitely associate them with the car I have behind me. This is the Aston Martin Vantage, and this is a Girl's Guide 2 and my review. Martin, it conjures up ideas of GoldenEye, Casino Royale, a bit of James Bond basically, and that to me says something about the style, elegance and grace that this car definitely has bags of. Having a quick look around the front of it, this one has been finished in hyper red, which has got a beautiful gold fleck in the sunlight just to absolutely accentuate these massive features at the front. I always remember Aston Martins, when I looked at them I was like, oh, it kind of looks a little bit like a whale shark because of the way it seems to just scoop up the road with that massive sill there. The headlights for me on this car could have done to be in a little bit bigger, but that's down to personal taste. The swage lines and all of these lines leading to the muscular rear, I'm actually really enjoying it. It's got a lot of gloss black accents in there, which we all know and love. When you've got a sporty car, you need all of that stuff. 20-inch wheels leading all the way around to the rear here, which is probably my favourite part of the car, because I was following it the other day and this massive diffuser with the 2 exhaust pipes and then the absolutely moulded in tail bar there with the lights, it just looks mint. And the hips, when you're actually driving this car, what you can see is the big muscular hips that stick out so far. The body is actually deceptive because it looks like, feels like quite a small nimble car when you're inside of it, but she's big. She's definitely got some weight to throw around with her. I mean, that just sort of covers off the outside of it, but where it really gets exciting is when you get inside and actually realise that this 4-litre twin-turbo V8 has lots of love to give. So I've had this car for a couple of days now, and you know, a big thank you to Aston Martin first of all for lending me this, because I have been badgering on at them for a while to let me have a go. Because there's something quite interesting about such a British brand that has now got the heart of a German V8 in it. Now, how does that work? I mean, to me, it kind of conjures up, again, I keep talking about images, but conjures up images of a German guy wearing chinos and boat shoes and basically running into Jack Wills and buying the shop up. This car is meant to be elegant and beautiful, and yet it has this absolutely monstrous 4-litre twin turbo, like sat in the heart of it. Experience of an Aston Martin. I haven't driven one before, so I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. I have no context of the other models. I just thought to myself, I was like, okay, 2-door sports car, it's quite heavy, over 1500 kg, and it's also got that 4-litre V8 from a Mercedes in there. That's a great powertrain because that's pushing out over 500 brake and nearly 700 Newton meters of torque, so it's going to be fairly punchy when you're driving it. So far, I've been very impressed. One thing that really does it for me is the fact that you have the different driving modes. I mean, it starts up in sport, and you've got Sport Plus and then also Track. But the great thing is, normally when you have the different modes for driving, it changes the dampening of the suspension, which goes along with that particular driving mode. Whereas here, you've actually got a separate button. So if you want to have the sort of urgency of track mode when you're, flicking up the gears, but then you also want the comfort on the suspension as well, because you're going down a particularly, as I am now, bumpy country roads, then you can actually tailor that to you, which I think is a very good option to have, because as I say, I prefer being able to flick up the gears and have that, really responsiveness of when you're in Sports Plus or Track mode, but then at the same time, I don't want to feel like my teeth are going to fall out of my head when I'm driving down Enfield High Street. It's one of those things. Now this car for me, when I was thinking about it, I was like, I like to come up with little analogies. And for me, this is kind of like a German scientist which has been, crashed into Jack Wills and come out wearing chinos and boat shoes. It's got all of that British elegance. I mean, everything is just plastered with, I think it's Sahara tan, the colour. There's just leather everywhere. It's just a complete sea of leather. And you know what the thing is like it doesn't even have a glove box, which is, you know what, I was looking around and just thinking like, how many cows are in this car? But as I said, it's just very elegant and a lovely, lovely car to be in. You know, Aston Martin has a particular driver, doesn't it? When I think of the driver profile, and it's very quaint, probably lives in Henley. But I like the fact that they've gone ahead and maybe tried to switch it up a little bit. Like, this is a particularly sexy car. It's not got any of the sort of boring quaintness that I used to sort of think of the Aston Martin range. Sorry guys, but this has really changed my mind. It's a joy to drive. And it's also, you know, people really love it. I've been driving around and noticing how many broken necks it gives, because people just like whip round when they see it coming. Now, I'm always a fan of an aggressive looking car, and I think they've definitely nailed it with this. It's very wide. As we were looking around the front end, the back end earlier, you can see how it just has so much road presence. And I think if you're going to spend the sort of cash that this this car is up for, it's about £120,000, and you want something that's going to make quite a big impact. But I think the best thing for me, as always, you know, I do enjoy the looks of it, but the drive is just really good fun. One thing I will say is though, you know, I've got traction is off right now, and I give it a little bit and it stays incredibly planted. Whether that's because it's, you know, about 90 foot wide, this thing stays stuck to the roads. Whereas when you have kind of a big engine like this, you want to be able to feel it get a little bit loose as you come out of a junction here and there. Yeah, I have been putting it through its paces, and I tell you what, yeah, it is good. And I guess that's one of the other things when you think of the Aston Martin profile, the customer profile, is someone who wants to enjoy the power but doesn't really want to get too mental with it, you know? If this thing was like cocking a leg at every traffic lights or, you know, every roundabout, it'd make it somewhat a little bit less drivable. But 100%, this thing is absolutely drivable. All day, every day. It's a lovely, lovely sort of daily supercar, if you will. But yeah, I am mightily impressed with her. I wish I could take it on a track and sort of really give it some, because I feel like maybe I'm not being able to push it to its limits, where that's when the fun really would start to appear. But it is a great fun car to drive every day because you've got so much confidence in it. I'm impressed. After 4 days of living with the Vantage, I have really enjoyed getting my teeth into a new driving personality. Aston Martin has such elegance on the road, and you know what? It's got the perfect combination of that German muscle and English quintessential Britishness. The style of it is something that has really kind of stolen my heart, but you know what? I think this makes one of the best daily sports cars that is out there on the market today. To sum this car up for me, the looks are what completely steals the show here. The car is just absolutely beautiful. Let me know what you guys think. But thanks again for watching, and catch me again next time.